my grandmother that much, according to her. I was like, wow, I'd never even thought about that, to be quite honest. She's like, we still had to walk places. We had to, it wasn't I mentioned that story because I kind of feel like the same today. What if, hey, we lose, the government says, hey, in order to pay our $19 million, hey, we're going to, start cutting, Social Security, welfare, all these things, public ed. What happens? Well, I kind of think the people that have a little bit of land and can figure out how to plant a garden and can figure out how to, maybe raise a couple cows or a couple hogs, I kind of feel like those folks are going to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess everybody'd have to adapt. I mean, people, whether how bad it is or not, whether how bad you think crime is and people living off the government, everybody's smart enough to feed their family, whether it's righteous or not. Like the people that don't work, they figure out a way. If they've got to have a bunch of kids and they want a bigger tax check or they want more, government assistance, they'll figure out a way. I mean, people may not like it and you get mad and scream, man, those people don't work. And, I don't know, it's crazy. But people figure out a way. I mean, whether it's even bad stuff, crime, I mean, that's the bad thing. You hope it doesn't get to that point, but it seems like people always find a way.
No, it's true. I mean, there are different ways to survive. I guess I've always been the kind to do it honestly, I guess.
Yeah.
But I always think of things as a parent, I guess. I didn't used to, but kind of do now. And, I don't think any parent would ever want their kid out there, having to commit a crime in order to survive.
Yeah.
And in my own opinion, that's kind of the job of a parent is to make sure that they never put their kids in that situation. I mean, and you don't want to spoil your kids, but you want to make sure your kids have the ability to, survive in any situation, whether it's, on the farm, in the country, in a city.
Yeah.
I kind of, based upon my upbringing, I kind of prefer the country, but I'm sure others, like, hey, I love the city. Well, that's all right. Just figure out how you're going to survive.
Yeah.
And teach your kids how to do it in a legal, mindful way. That's the problem is that, we could go on about the breakdown of the home and the family and all that stuff, but that's the job. You got to teach your kids how to survive in different situations.
Yeah.
Because you can't kind of predict the future.
Yeah, you don't know. I mean, things have changed so exponentially because, like what I said and what you say, that it's just, things are different. We just have more technology, more mouths to feed. You can't predict it because we haven't been able to test this population with these resources in the past. There was no such thing.
Well, I guess my thing is, if you're worried about survival, right, concerned about survival, if things are bad, I'm just curious, how much is a cell phone really going to help you?
Oh,
I mean, I guess you could take the glass out and use the sun to reflect the glass from your cell phone in order to start a fire, but in the grand scheme of the world, I mean, I don't know. And here's the thing: you have to have electricity in order to charge a phone, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you don't have electricity, you're kind of, hey, cell phone. Guess what? It's not gonna work anymore.
Yeah, it kind of takes us back to that. Like, I'm real into science fiction movies and stuff. So all this stuff that I've watched about, Interstellar, about how they're running out of food, and Martian, where they need another place to, colonize or whatever. I mean, that didn't work, but they tried. And other movies like Mad Max and real far-fetched movies like zombie apocalypse stuff. And they show these TV and movie producers show what they think the world's going to be like after the grids. I mean, after there's no goods and services, there's no technology. How do they live? And I think those people in their head are thinking about the future like we do, but they're just putting it out there creatively as an artist and showing people what they think. And, some of that stuff, I mean, it's pretty interesting that some of that stuff looks pretty practical, like the Book of Eli, the stuff that happened in that movie and stuff. And I know we don't have any idea what it's going to look like if that ever gets to that point.
I'm going to tell you this right now. Those movies scare me. They do. They scare me.
Oh, I know. Me too.
I'm like,
And I probably shouldn't watch them because it makes me worry even more. And it's just a movie, but I do. Like Minority Report scared me. And even though people survived and people lived in a world, the Minority Report with Tom Cruise, it was scary too because there was cameras everywhere. And I don't want a world like that either. But, people were adapting to everything, but it was weird.
Well, you hope that, I don't know, maybe I'm too simple in my thinking, but the hope is that people are just good people. And people, can kind of think ahead a little bit and can kind of, I don't know. The world today, it's so much a me world, and I don't know. I just don't know if people can. I don't see a lot of people that think of others before they think of themselves, and I kind of feel like that people base every decision they make on how's it going to help me.
Yeah.
In the long, you know what I'm saying? How's it going to help me in the long run?
Yeah.
So I don't know. And I say that because if it's not going to help me, well then I'm not going to vote for something, or I'm not going to pass something, or I'm not going to protect something because it's not going to help me. Well, sometimes you have to do things that sometimes the right thing to do isn't necessarily something that's going to help you. Sometimes the right thing to do is something that may hurt you or may not help you at all. But guess what? Because it's the right thing, that's what you do. It's just the right thing. Yeah. If there's something that could help, I don't know, 1 trillion people in the world, but it doesn't help me, I'll be honest with you, hey, that's fine. It's going to help 1 trillion people. the trillion people most definitely, outweigh the needs of one, in my opinion. But
sounds.
I don't know. I don't know.
Valid to me,
But I don't think people think like that. I don't think people vote like that. I don't think people think like that. And what's worse is, I don't think people feel it in their heart like that.
Yeah.
Like it's not a core belief.
Yeah. Anymore, it's probably not.
No. And here's the bad thing. And with what we do, I think that core belief is, I mean, you got to have a set of standards and a set of beliefs that you just don't waver from, no matter if it helps or hurts you. That's just that's your core. That's what you stand for. And I'm not sure, as everybody, rushes to make $1, I'm not sure if people are willing to stand for their core beliefs anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about any group of people. I'm talking about as a world, as a society. I'm not sure anybody does.
Yeah.
But that's what do you do with that? Well, you make sure that you take care of the people closest to you, and that's kind of how you do business.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and it's crazy, but it's I guess if you don't care about anything, you don't worry about these things that you and I are talking about and worrying about. But I guess if you care, you about other people and about the future with your kids and people that you leave here, that when you're gone,
right.
It's, I don't know. I just think it's important. That's why I worry about the environment, and you worry about other things and that. I worry about my kids and my grandkids that I may or may not see.
But I think that's something that anybody that's a parent, or at least a halfway decent parent, I'm not saying you got to be a great parent, but I think most parents worry about their kids, but I also think most parents don't know. Like, they don't.
Yeah, they don't.
You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes they want to do something to help their kids, but they can't.
That's true. Like, you got your second, third shift parent, single parent with the kids trying to go to school and get help on homework, and the parent can't do it because they have to work second or third shift.
Right.
And they're not even there. And then what if the kid's not there to get adult supervision, and this one kid's a girl, is a teenager, gets pregnant and doesn't know what she's doing? It just starts the cycle off. It just keeps perpetuating that vicious cycle of, you know, low socioeconomic status and little to no education. It's sad, really. I mean, it scares me to death, all the stuff that I see.
You know, that mom that's working third shift.
Yeah.
And let's say that mom working third shift, she's away from her daughter. You know, that mom's, let's say it's a minimum wage job and it's a $15 an hour job, right?
Yeah.
You know, which minimum wage, $15 an hour, that sounds pretty good, right? You know, if you work 40 hours a week, I think that comes out to be like somewhere around $36,000 a year before taxes.
Yeah.
Well, that's decent money.
Yeah.
But before taxes? Well, no. Let's say you take $6,000 out in taxes now. You're $30,000. You have a teenage daughter getting ready, who's intelligent, wants to go to college. $15 an hour. Isn't that all of a sudden? Well, it's good. It's still not. It's still not enough.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with the cost of college and being a teenager. I don't know. I can't imagine, the cost of that stuff yet. I'm sure I will, but I just don't know if $30,000 a year is enough to make. And here's the deal, let's say you're making $15 an hour minimum wage. Wait, here's the next question: what's the cost of living?
I know.
I mean, do we really think that if some of these places that raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, do you really think that all of a sudden that's going to come from the cash overflow that they have?
Yeah, and think about the politicians doing it. They're like, oh my gosh, how could someone live on that? I couldn't, but this at least band-aid these complaints for 10 years, 5 years.
It's absurd.
I know. It's crazy.
You think that for $15 an hour, do we really think that? Hey, the companies that pay $15 an hour, they're not going to just go to their bank account and take a financial hit. We all know what's going to happen. The price of everything is going to go up.
Yeah.
That's what people, that's the thing, you say, oh, we raised it to $15 an hour. Well, that's fantastic. But, instead of, getting a Happy Meal for $2.50, you're now paying $3.50. That's.
I know.
That's the, I don't think people realize that it's important to pay people a decent wage, but, sometimes the things that get negotiated on the back end are, and not even negotiated. Well, that company can, do whatever it takes to pay somebody $15 an hour. And what they're going to do, and what's I'm going to assume happening, is the price of everything's going to go up to pay the labor.
It's crazy. I guess the bottom line is, for all this, just do. It's real simple, but I guess everybody can do it. But you got to just do the best you can for the ones you love, and you just got to do the best you can. That's the only thing I can tell anybody. Yeah. Anybody I give advice to, you just have to do the best you can. And I guess if you're not doing the best you can to do the right thing, I should say the right thing, you're not gonna, and it's not gonna help anybody.
No.
So
not at all.
But man, I